Light Yagami is not the villain of Death Note, and we've been deceived this whole time. But who could it really be? Well, for us to determine who this sinister mastermind is, we have to rule out a few people. Immediately, some of you might think I'm gonna say L is the villain, but you'd be mistaken. Yes, Light and L have a unique conflict in the story. It's a conflict between the ideals of justice, both versions being extreme in their own right. Light being more focused on eliminating the problem at the root, which is deleting all of the bad people. Then there's L, with a much more Western perception on good and evil. To L, evil is on a spectrum, and the punishment should fit the crime. No individual is guilty without absolute proof. Now I'm gonna say something that might shock some of you. Both L and Light are objectively not wrong or right. We see evil from Light's desire to trim away the harmful people by force. But we also see L's evil by torturing Misa in order to validate his findings. One method of force hides behind the legal system and the other is simply out in the open. So to put it simply, both parties are just human. Not all good and not all bad. They are in some ways two naturally corrupt individuals who got caught up in an anomaly that goes beyond human nature. In some ways, they're both actually victims. But who else could possibly be a candidate then? Well, what about Misa? Misa was the second Kira and played a massive role in the battle between L and Light. She's a delusional and obsessive woman that only cares about one thing: Light Yagami. She manipulated her friend into making the Kira tapes, she killed countless people for the sake of Light's dream, and she never once even mourned the loss of Rim. She even toyed with Higuchi, all to just have Light simply kill him in the end. No matter how innocent she used to be, Misa at her core now is evil. No amount of coping from us about her codependency issues will make up from the killing and manipulating created by her hands. But Misa is not the villain. She is also just another victim of circumstance. Her life could have ended innocently if one Shinigami hadn't fallen in love with her. So who could it be then? Well, there's actually two villains to this story that are very overlooked. Let's start with the more obvious one, Ryuk. You see, Ryuk, although goofy, he is without a doubt a complete psychopath. He has superficial charm and struggles with impulse behavior and boredom, and he also has a very parasitic lifestyle. At the beginning of the series, Ryuk is bored, which leads him to the idea of getting involved in the human world. He tricked this Shinigami here into giving him his notebook, and then he took off and found a school to drop it at. What the series doesn't reveal here is that a death god can kill the owner of a death note at any time they want, as long as the Shinigami was the original owner. So Ryuk could have theoretically just kept killing people until he eventually found someone that he found entertaining. Light actually deduced this possibility immediately. Luckily for him, Ryuk heard him out and found him to be interesting. Light Yagami, in fact, was the most perfect form of entertainment. People are toys to Ryuk's amusement. The events that happen in the series is exactly what Ryuk wanted. He wanted someone just like Light, someone bored, someone intelligent, and someone who's young and easily corruptible. Ryuk is an evil being that's purpose in life is to pass time in the most amusing way. We can see this even more clearly at the end of the series in the manga. On the final chapter, Light begs Ryuk for help. He's going to die, and everyone that Light has previously relied on is gone. Ryuk is his last hope. Jokingly, in a twisted way, as one final piece of entertainment, he makes Light believe that he's going to survive. Just as Light's hope is set, Ryuk then breaks the news to him that it was in fact Light's name that he wrote in the Death Note. This truly shows the sinister nature of Ryuk. Just as Light manipulated Misa, Higuchi, Mikami, and the entire task force, Ryuk was manipulating Light the entire time. It was always just a game to him. So yes, Ryuk is one of the true villains of the show, but who was the second one I spoke of earlier? Well, that would be us. More specifically, our insatiable desire for drama from the media. A huge aspect of the show revolves around the media outlet of Japan. The producers of the news network instantly dove headfirst into the Kira story and never once let up. It went as far as the news station turning into a dedicated network for worshipping Kira. It's a great reflection of the real world as it stands today. In this series, we the people fed Kira's ego. We fed him with our curiosities and our desire for drama. This in turn validated everything that Light was doing. Almost like you subscribing to the channel validates everything that I'm doing. Please sub to the channel, love ya. So all of these desires made the networks filthy rich, and they in turn created an empire off of the graves of those that the Death Note killed. But how does this all impact the story directly? Think about how different this story could have played out if the world wasn't so eager to witness Light's power. If collectively everyone spoke out against Light's action, maybe somehow things could have been different. But instead, our love for him and our need for justice further filled Light's delusions. And this brings me to the final question. What would you do if you had the Death Note?